Company operations may have an impact on plants and animals, directly or indirectly. Some of them may be protected species or even endangered species. The aim of biodiversity protection is to protect life on land. As a company, you're responsible to protect any of these areas within your site's area of influence. Your influence could be direct, through suppliers, or in combination with other industries in the area. Designated protection areas are places that are regulated to conserve biodiversity and natural or cultural resources. They may be habitats for endangered or threatened species, or species found only in that area, or that depend on the area for migration or breeding. World Heritage Sites are areas with high biodiversity or significance culturally or physically. Here we'll show you how you can minimize your impacts on biodiversity and protected areas through your management system. We'll cover the policies, risk assessments, procedures, and monitoring and mitigation. First, make sure biodiversity and protected areas are covered in your environmental policy. Commit to no net loss or a net gain in biodiversity. And the policy should commit to following the mitigation hierarchy. The mitigation hierarchy prioritizes steps to alleviate harm. Seek first to avoid impacts, then minimize, then restore, and finally offset. More on this later. Before starting on a project, gather baseline data to know how it could impact any protected areas, species, or habitats. This should be done as part of an environmental impact assessment, conducted before operations begin and throughout operations. A lot of data may be available from government departments. Permits and regulations define how much data you need to gather. The data should cover your operations and any infrastructure that they depend on, like roads, power, or settlements. It can be difficult to understand the ecological value of the area you're working in. That's why you need to bring in experts, like ecological scientists, who understand the situation and can conduct field work. They should understand the habitat, ecosystem services, and the value of local biodiversity and how your operations could impact these things. Evaluate which activities are the most likely to cause harm and make them top priority. Conduct assessments regularly to look for impacts to be addressed. To put improvements into practice, develop procedures. Design them to ensure that you meet legal and customer standards. Work with communities, government, industry, and other stakeholders to understand, evaluate, and discuss biodiversity concerns. Develop strategies following the mitigation hierarchy. Avoid potential impacts by designing them out of operations. For example, if you can choose to build on either a wetland or not a wetland, choose not to build on the wetland. Minimize or mitigate impacts through controls that reduce their duration, intensity, or extent. For example, if a potential accident could significantly impact biodiversity, undertake a more detailed risk analysis. Identify areas and resources that are vulnerable. Then make plans for emergency preparedness and contingency measures for each potential impact. Restore or rehabilitate impacted environments. For example, reforest cleared areas. Design it to produce a fuelwood plantation, agroforestry, or grazing land. Offset or compensate for impacts as a last resort. For example, if you build in a wetland, you would need to build a wetland somewhere else. It's easy to destroy biodiversity, but it's hard to restore it, and it takes a long time. That's why you need to monitor your progress. Report on your progress to stakeholders who may be concerned or affected, like local communities. Provide data and describe your mitigation strategy. Reassess your performance regularly in managing your impacts, such as every 2 to 3 years, or when processes change or you acquire land. By managing biodiversity, you protect your company and the world around you, and you meet the expectations of the law and your customers.